My name is Rachel David White. This is a program that bridges the gap between the government and the people, tends to explain government policies and, of course, everything happening around the political sphere, and, of course, gives chance for the people to also air their views. And of course, the feedback gets to the government for improvement. Well, today we'll be taking a look at the Osun Guba polls and Adeleke's victory. The Supreme Court had dismissed the appeal of Adeboyega Oyetola challenging the election of Senator Ademola Adeleke as Osun State Governor. And in its judgment read by Justice Emmanuel Ajim, the court upheld the appeal court's judgment, which upheld the election of Adeleke as the state governor. And the Apex Court maintained that Oyetola and the APC failed to produce enough evidence to prove Adeleke's alleged overvoting in the 16th of July 2022 governorship polls. The judgment was affirmed and adopted by the entire 5 members of the panel, and they also stated that the appeal lacks merit. Don't forget that All Progressives Congress and the People's Democratic Party in Osun State earlier expressed hope for victory as the Supreme Court determines the authentic winner of the July 16, 2022 got 1,371 vote to defeat then incumbent Governor Adeboyega Oyetola of APC, who got 375,207 votes. But Oyetola and the APC rejected the result of the polls and headed for the tribunal. On the 27th of January 2023, the Justice Tese Kume laid a tribunal in its majority verdict annulled Adeleke's victory and declared Oyetola the winner of the poll, while a minority judgment by Justice Obuli affirmed Adeleke as the winner of the poll. And Adeleke and the PDP, displeased by the verdict, headed for the Court of Appeal, which on the 24th of March nullified the tribunal judgment and returned Adeleke as the winner. Dissatisfied with the judgment, again, Oyetola and the APC then headed for the Supreme Court, which held the matter on Monday and released the judgment sometime this week. At the sitting of the Apex Court panel that heard the matter on Monday, the parties adopted their briefs and, of course, addressed the court, after which the panel announced Tuesday for judgment. Well, another intriguing thing is that Alhaji Boyega Oyetola, the immediate past governor of Osun State, has congratulated his successor, Governor Ademola Adeleke, over the Supreme Court judgment, which affirmed him as the winner of the July 16, 2022 governorship election. I'll just go a little bit into his statement, Oyetola's statement rather. He wrote that just yesterday that he accepts the court's verdict, which upheld Adeleke's election to Governor Adeleke, and he says the people of Osun State and urges him to focus on delivery of good governance and set politics aside, and said it was the time had come for him to know that the interests of the masses must be most paramount without any restriction or discrimination, whether based on political persuasion, creed, or religion. All right, today on the program would be joined by a guest virtually. He was one of the Guba candidates of the 2022 Osun polls in Osun State, of course, in the person of Dr. Ademola Bayonle. So he'll be joining us, of course, State. All right, so he's been on standby, so let's quickly welcome him on the show. Good evening and welcome, Dr. Ademola.
Hi, good evening. How are you? It's
Fine.
good to be back again.
Yeah, welcome once again. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
We're still assimilating and enjoying the new.
Okay, so you sound like, of course, in all of this, like you predicted already, Adeleke was going to win in court.
Well, it's a nobody could actually have predicted anything. Remember that at the tribunal, Governor Oyetola was declared the winner,
Hmm.
and that the appeal uh, Governor Adeleke was declared the winner. So it was kind of like a 1-1. And we're waiting on the Supreme Court to adjudicate and give us the final verdict. There was a lot of things on the table.
I
There
would
were a
say it
lot
was
of.
dramatic, don't you think so?
Say that again, please.
I would say it was dramatic. I mean, this one wins today, the
It
next
was
day it was
it
the
was a
other
lot
person.
of ups and downs. It was a lot of ebbs and flows. There was a lot of emotional. They were like animals. I mean, you know how lawyers and how all this law pattern works. Like everybody feels that they are right. Everybody feels that whatever they're bringing to the table is backed by the law, and they are also like
Mm.
everybody was optimistic about the win. And like I said, we have had one from the judiciary make a verdict for the Oyetola camp. We've had one from the appeal make another for the Adeleke camp. We've had so many dramas going on in the state. So everybody was coming to Supreme Court with very strong evidences, and as it should be. Actually, I actually think that both camps have really played. I mean, they've used all the instrumentalities of government to show us how the 360 of how election flows. So I didn't. I mean, I'm a member of the Young Progressive Party. After the election, we were all at the sidelines. But now, looking past the election, looking at the judiciary track of electioneering. I didn't have any particular favorites. I was just more interested in the success of the people of Osun State, and that was the heart I had when I was running for office. So whoever wins or whoever won, the people of Osun State was still my number one priority.
Okay, so I'm listening to you, this last part when you talked about when you were in the race, right? And I'm hearing
Yes.
something different from the normal politics we have in Nigeria today, where it is the politics of interest rather than the politics that should have the interest of people at heart. So you're running for an office and having the interest of people at heart. So even when you withdrew from the race, okay, you still had the interest of people at heart. So whoever comes out as the winner should favor the people and not for your own interest.
Absolutely. And I think that's how it should be. There's a part of this old cycle that you have to play politics, and there's a part that you have to throw out and remove the heart of politics and move in Shun State by congratulating him. So, I mean, politics is now over. There are lives behind these numbers or whatever is happening. There are 5.1 million people in Osun State who are waiting for good health care, who are waiting for good governance, who are waiting for their social safety net, who thinks that they deserve better infrastructure, and a lot of youth that needs jobs. So the point is, what we've been trying to do is to choose a leader who can actually deliver on those things. And now that the process of choosing a leader is over, I think the focus should now be on delivering promise, delivering what the manifesto is to the people. I must tell you, there's a part of it that should be politics. And you have to play politics, I must say.
Okay, trying to get people
Immediately,
on your
I
side, right?
Yes, yes, you must be able to rally people on your side. There's a primary part of it. Even winning the ticket of your political party is
Hmm.
very important. You going through the primaries of your political party. I mean, like people will say, people think you might not be the only one. You think that you can deliver good governance, but you might not be the only one that can do that. Other people also have interest. Other people also think they can.
Of
So you
course.
have to throw away as much as you're putting forward, you know what, I'm the best guy to be the flag bearer of your party. And after that, then you go to the milieu of what's it called? Everybody in the state. Then you go ahead and play the politics. All those things is, I would say, 70% politics,
Okay.
30% what you can deliver. So that phase of the cycle, 6 months before general election, is all politics.
Okay, I understand, but then um, I still say the way you say it doesn't look like the way it's being played. Yeah, in Nigeria today, I know. Well, I'm not saying it's general. Okay, there are some people that, of course, when it's time to drop the politics and take up the office of serving the people, they do so. But most times we see politics even after, you know. the elections are over. Like you said, there's a time where politics comes in when you get to rally the people to be on your side. You get to tell the people that you are the right candidates to, of course, pilot the affairs of that state. But there should be a time where, oh, finally you've come into office, like Adeleke has, and then you have to drop politics and you have to not just play to favor one party or maybe your party. You get to make sure that your administration favors everybody. But sometimes we get to see politics even after you are in office, where you get to make sure that things are done. Of course, you try to, I would say, make it favor you and your immediate personalities, the immediate personalities around you. That still, politics still comes in even when you are in
Yeah.
office.
Yeah. Is it truth be told, the politics of it never dies. That's the truth. Politics of it at different time is at the forefront, which is when the election is in full gear.
Okay.
When you are in governance, when you are now that, I mean, for instance, for Governor Adeleke right now, he still has to play a little bit of politicking, but not to the level of
In terms of delivering good governance, most times you see these politicians allow politics to come in. Now, what I mean is sometimes, of course, you can agree with me that sometimes um, we have some administration favor mostly people from a particular side and not favor people from a particular side. Maybe because the governor or the president did not get votes from that particular state, or I would say local government or anything.
so, well, the people of Nigeria are very intelligent people. Any leader that plays that type of politics when he should be doing good, delivering good governance, I'm not sure will last that much in office. People are now voting for candidates based on performance.
Hmm.
How many political juggernauts can you have in the state that can make you win an election? You still have to rely on everyday regular individuals within your states and within your constituency
Hmm.
that will be judging you based on performance and based on how the tenure will be digging an early grave for himself. Because, I mean, look at the last election. Over 700,000 people voted in the Osho State election. How much of politics do you want to play with 700,000 people? If we have about 22 commissioners, we have about 13 SSAs, maybe all the political offices in the states. I don't think they're even more than maybe in the hundreds. Hardly on all go well for that type of politician. So Nigerians are becoming very awake. Look at the general election, what you want to do for us. And those things
Another thing. I'm sorry.
relatively new.
Okay, another thing. I'm sorry to cut you. Talking about manifestos. Most times we see these manifestos, huge promises. Yeah, we'll call them campaign promises, and then immediately after they are come to office, I mean, those things just remain in paper. Take back yourself back to
Yes.
the administration of the current president of Nigeria, Muhammad Buhari, who had a whole lot of things in Nigerians this number of, employment or make provisions for this number of jobs in Nigeria. I mean, that looked to me like, oh, I can't keep this promise, so I have to find an excuse for it. So sometimes the manifestos are not well interpreted.
You know what? That time of our lives is gradually fading away. I must tell you. We are actually moving to an era where people will be holding your shirt and asking you what you have done out of how many things you've promised, helped by the communication spread. Now we can talk to everybody around the country in the blink of an eye. So we are not like in our boxes like we used to be 10, 20 years back. So everybody can in the country can actually say, this is what we want. And somebody in Maiduguri, somebody in Lokoja, somebody in Lagos, somebody in Kebbi, somebody in Abia can
Mm.
actually all come together. Twitter space, Facebook, Instagram, we can all agree on something. Look at the obedience movement, for instance, that people were thought was just a social media movement, but now has blown into a very big movement. So now people are very awake that the sensitization is up.
Mm.
Maybe we might not be 100% there yet, but people are now going to be asking our politicians. Look at how Peter Obi, for instance, was grilled about what he did in Anambra State. Look at what Bola Ahmed Tinubu was grilled about what he did in Lagos State. Look at how Atiku was grilled about his performance when he was vice president. So people are now looking at antecedents, and they are also looking at manifesto. And yes, maybe in the next 4 years or 8 years, we might not be uh, putting the feet of our politicians to fire about the individual points they have promised us, but it's coming. It's really coming, and it might even be faster than uh, than we think. And the most important part of this, the politicians want to win a re-election, and I'm sure they are listening and reading the body languages of most people in the country,
Mm.
and they know that if they actually want to come back and win elections in Nigeria, performance is now becoming a very important variable in that mix.
Yeah,
And I
as
like
it
it.
should be.
Yes, and I like it. So manifesto, print it out for us, put it on the wall. Let us read it from your first day in office. We want to start talking about it, and also I want to implore the media houses to now start talking about it. You guys are the drivers of communication in manifesto, or whoever becomes the president
Hmm.
after the Supreme Court ruling, and start talking about it. Politicians listen.
No,
That is one thing
just put
I
it
think
well, like
that.
you said before. If we start holding them by their shirts.
Exactly. Let's hold them by their shirt. Let's pull them by their belt and ask them, come over here. You have not done so. You promised us this in the agricultural sector. We have not seen that much of it. And the opposition are also listening. Those are the points they're going to bring back. Because, like I said, believe me, people go to the polling units these days with the idea that this person will do this and this and that.
Oh,
So we have to make sure that that part of electioneering, that part of campaigning is so much highlighted. We are crossing the border. We're moving to a time where our in the next, like I said, 4 or 8 years, it will be difficult for politicians who don't have antecedents, for politicians who don't have clear manifesto of what they want to do in office to actually get into office.
okay, so back to the, of course, Adeleke's victory in Osun State. Adeleke, as the governor of Osun State, what precedent do you think that will set?
Well, I I'm a very biased I'm a very biased judge of this at this point. As much as I want to sincerely just wish the people of Osun State well and hope that it really delivers good governance and understand that his victory was on the back of a lot of people who actually just wanted a different party in the state and chose him despite so many variables that I would personally think is uh, against him. But back to your question, I think he has demonstrated you can win if people don't like you, but and he has demonstrated a lot of goodwill within the state. They have remember he was also a former senator,
Mm.
and I mean I won't be able to pinpoint what he did when he was a senator, but I think also coming from that level to running for governorship and also the performance of APC. You know, people weigh performance sometimes. They're like, okay, the APC did not meet the criteria or get to par at our expectation. Maybe we should try another party. Not probably necessarily because they think there. I mean, his brother and everybody, members of part of his family, has been was governor at some point. They have very great investments in the state, so they know the political terrain, and people think see them as this very uh, altruistic set of people. But I know governance is different. I know now it's serious business because people will be pulling you from all different directions. You have to bring some administrative skills to the framework. You have to bring a lot of technocrats and good crew and everything to the street. So I mean, I feel fingers crossed, fingers crossed. I just hope that in the next 3.5 years, people in Australia State will look back and probably and be thankful. That's my hope.
Okay, so before I get to
Well, the more question is that what can I do about it, even if I'm not satisfied?
okay now
It's the
okay
apex squad.
okay
But it's there's nothing my satisfaction
okay
or
I'm going to
dissatisfaction with it.
this is I'm going to have to ask you a question, but then that will be towards the end of the show. Okay, before then, let me take this time to tell the people that this is the program, the government, and we're taking a look at the Ocean uh, polls. Of course, the victory of Deleke, which it was just the Apex Court upheld Deleke as the authentic winner of the 2022 governorship elections, despite the battle and the drama that we saw between Oyetola and, of course, Deleke as well. And we're being joined by one of the sons of the Shun State who contested the elections via the YPP. And of course, even when he lost the elections, of course, he still wishes well for his people. Who wouldn't? So back to our guest who is here with us. I already explained his. Join us from Boston, USA.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember when you said that you can't really pinpoint, okay, in your words, what you could say, oh, Adeleke, Governor Adeleke, or when he was a senator or something, did this, right? Now, this actually takes me back to our discussion first, when we said sometimes before bringing a leader into office, you have to check, do fact finding, check what he has done. When he was in a capacity to do something, how many things did he do? Now you're bringing him to a bigger office. Um, don't you think that his past history should tell, aside from saying, oh, the APC haven't really done well, let's try another party. Don't you think that should be something that this person must have done that would say, oh, he had done well in this, like you use Peter Obi, for example. You want to trace back to when he was governor and the things he had done. That alone, I think, made lots of obedience think that he was the right person to pilot the affairs of Nigeria as a whole. So don't you think this should have been a yardstick?
Combination of a lot of things, sincerely. I think that everything might be magnified, but in our present political terrain, what you have done in your re-election,
Hmm.
what he has done, I will also say that the platform you're running on, believe me, is also another strong one. He's running on a platform of the PDP, which is a very platform without even lifting a finger. Yes, without lifting a finger, you might get a very significant number of votes. Also, the financial capacity of this political juggernaut is another criteria. The popularity of that candidate is another criteria.
Okay, if I'm being
Yes,
put on the People's Democratic platform, I may get a vote without lifting a finger. Yeah.
100%.
Okay, I'm trying to ask. So, what happens to another party if I'm being put in your party, YPP? I wouldn't get a vote.
No, you will get a vote, but the truth of the 200,
Oh,
if
okay.
you're PDP, it does not mean that it is not doable. That is why someone like me actually ran on that on
Okay,
YPP
okay,
platform
because
is doable.
the
But
party has
if you
been
put
alive for a
somebody,
longer time.
oh yes, the party in the state had Governor Olagunsoye Oyelola from 2004, they're about 2009. So they are well and alive. The party, remember, is an off-cycle election, so all eyes. The people in the state, they are used to the party logo. It's the logo on the ballot when they
Yeah.
want to vote. So you don't need to do a lot of work describing what PDP or APC or some of these parties add to some of these people in our grassroots.
And I
Some
think that
people
that's
also,
the
because
lot
of
of
the
problem.
benefit they have, people they can coast to victory easily. If they put Adeleke, for instance, on a court party, he might still be able to pull votes based on his don't have the instrumentality of coasting home. And what do I mean? Believe me, you need a really profound structure. Now we're going back to the structure. And what structure means is not only the people, it's also the understanding of the political framework. Believe me, you need to be able to handle your polling unit agents. You need to be able to have your collation officer. You need to understand how beavers and INEC works. You need to even understand so many parts of it. So that is some part of it that might be taken off PDP if he probably runs a party like Accord or YPP. So there's a lot of peace, and the personality is one of the most important sales pitch for some of this party. But some places, for instance, in Nigeria, I think the party is like very more highlighted. The powers and the prowess of these parties are
Mm,
more highlighted, so much so that if they put anybody on this platform, because of the popularity of that platform alone, you have at least a significant number of chances of winning some of this election. But it is doable across board. I mean, we saw it in the place of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. But like I
mm,
said, now it was his popularity and so many things that came into fold for him. So it's
okay.
never one thing for us. And I wish we get to that point that irrespective of the party you are, the number one thing that comes on board is that who is this person? Who is this person?
Okay, back to you, doctor, again. This one thing that has been, I think not just me, I think it calls for concern. If the former governor, Ayatollah, did not have evidence, like as claimed in a court, enough to back his claim that he actually won the elections, why did he and his party, the APC, of course, go ahead to the court to challenge the result of the election?
Well, you see the way the court works, they have their own internal workings. What do you feel? What both of us feel on this interview might be totally different from the workings of the court. You when you definitely go to court, what you want to do, you have the burden of proof
Mm,
on you to prove beyond reasonable doubt, depending on if it's a criminal case or whatever, to prove beyond reasonable doubt that whatever you're tendering to the court is permissive and is of superior argument compared to your opposition. It now depends on the court to weigh it and say, what do you have here? What is the opposition bringing? And look for the superiority there. So I don't think Oyetola approached the court without enough evidence. It might just not reach the threshold where it is enough to flip the judgment in his favor. I think that is how I will put it. Uh, for instance, in the certificate forgery, I think the Supreme Court was looking for evidence from the school or whatever who gave the certificate, which they could not produce. So, I mean, if they probably had an insider or had a prior knowledge that that was going to be enough, and that's where the lawyers come in,
mm,
they have to be very vast in these areas and know what they need to bring to the table to be able to argue some of these argument. You will know that some moderates go scot free if they can actually have good lawyers.
of
It
course.
depends on how the lawyers can brandish it and make it look very robust, and that's how the law works. And he's blind, so he just listens.
That makes me
So
worry. That
yeah,
makes me worry, Yeah, you're not far from the truth. It's possible for a murderer, of course, to go scot-free when he has enough proof to show that he's not guilty,
exactly.
even
If
when
he
he's
can
guilty.
tell you self-defense, he can tell you he did it in in good, out of goodwill or whatever. It depends on how his lawyers can rigmarole and prove it and
Okay.
make it look great. Yeah. So that's the
But
place of the law, and we
that's
can't
not
fight
justice
fair.
served at the end.
Well, we can fight fair. This Supreme Court, and that's why we have multiple levels to it. I think at this Supreme Court, for instance, there were five justices, and they probably, I don't know. I'm still waiting for the final judgment. I asked one of the lawyers just this afternoon. They have
Mm.
not yet printed the final judgment out to see who voted in what directions, but that's how the law works, unfortunately.
Okay, but does this raise the concern of abuse of privilege that the election tribunal was meant to serve?
The tribunal, the appellates, and the supreme, they are
Mm.
standard cycles in the
But
judiciary.
I
Uh,
mean, he should have just there was room for him to have congratulated Delegate from onset and say, "Oh, you won the election, truly," and then just forget about going to court.
well, they say where there's a will, there's a way.
Mm.
Where he knows that there's a possibility of him reclaiming or claiming the mandate, why not exploit? So it's you have to make sure you get to a point you've satisfied your conscience and satisfied your supporters also, because believe me, he also has supporters. I was reading an article today, somebody actually saying that he should have gone ahead, and I was laughing. I was like, this person does not actually understand politics, because somebody has almost 320,000 votes on the election. There are people behind those votes. They're not just numbers. People literally went to
People who
vote.
count on
And those
you.
people, say that again.
I said people who count on you.
Exactly. So you're going to disappoint 320,000 people by just pulling up the plug in the middle of everything. So it's not that easy to say, "Oh, tribunal is over, appeal is over, let me go home." No, as a politician, you have to make sure that you listen to people. It is very important. You also understand that there are people behind you. You have just one voter's card, by the way. So you have 320,000 voters card all in support of you, that you have to make sure that you can look back at them and tell them, I gave it my best.
Mm.
And you're like, I'm done. Next time, believe me, they will look at you and say, we are done with you.
Okay. Now, still talking about what we just, the same point. Um, I'm trying to look for better words, of course, to use. Yeah, we've had cases where elections are being rigged in court. Of course, the court has the final say, so whatever the court says, oh, that stands. So, one may be wondering, maybe he went with the mindset that, oh, elections can be rigged in court, and then whatever the court says, so that stands. But I really appreciate the fact that he did not fight again the drama. He ended the drama, because had it been he wanted to continue the drama by taking the case to court again, of course it would have still continued. But then um, I'm talking about this because I know that in Nigeria we've come to a point where people have actually lost confidence in the judiciary, on the judiciary arm of the government, because they feel elections can actually be easily rigged in court. Um, we like to take our minds back to what happened when talking about the Senate president, and even talking about Akpabio when he had the mind to contest for. I'm talking about Senator Godswill Akpabio. He had the mind to contest for the presidency, and of course, when he saw that it looks like all roads were blocked, he had to run back even at the dying minute to, of course, come take another slot.
I wouldn't say, you see, people are funny. When something does not favor you, a lot of people, they say it is rigged. When it favors them, they say, "Oh, it's a good process."
So what would you like to
And
say? Now, I'm not going to allow you land. When you're talking about this, I want you to merge it with, I want you to merge it with what happened between the Labour Party and the APC in a just concluded presidential election where, fine, the elections are over. We've talked about this issue here on set. I know that so many people feel the elections was the process that saw the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu was rigged. It wasn't a proper process or a free flow. It wasn't the will of the people. So I still ask one question. So now, if the court finally says, "Oh," um, what are you saying? Does that mean that, of course, we
I
saw
am
it with our own,
saying
we saw it with
whatever
our
the
own
Supreme
eyes.
Court says,
Okay, that's
whatever the
final.
Supreme Court says is what I am saying. You see, we have to also understand that these are what we have to have faith in some of these instrumentalities of government.
Mm,
We cannot just cast aspersion on some of these institutions. We are going to weaken them. We have to start keep putting our faith and reinforcing some of these institutions. Believe me, they do their best, and if they also see that the citizens believe in them, I feel that they are also human. They will continue because every time, for instance, look at our healthcare. And I'm a doctor. I'm going to talk about the healthcare. If a president does not use the healthcare facility in the country, there's a tendency for a regular Nigerian not to have trust in it. I'm like, why should I go there when the leader of the state or the country does not even use it? So there's a burden on us for us to continue to cast our faith and trust our system. Look at Peter Obi, for instance. In 2003, he lost an election, and the gubernatorial election to off cycle. Peter Obi was one of the first beneficiaries of the judiciary. In fact, after he fought for, he has benefited like three times. His House of Assembly members impeached him. The
Mm,
court reinstated him.
mm.
Also, the third time, he didn't participate in an election because he claimed that his 4-year term has not expired. The court also reinstated him and made him use his 4 years tenure. So look at what the court has done for him. So if this ruling it does not go his way, does it mean that the court is now a terrible place? No. So we cannot always say that when it is in our favor, the court, the judiciary, what's it called, is great. Look at Osun State election, for instance. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we hear that he's from Osun State. Mr. Boyega Oyetola, their families, their relatives. APC is judiciary if it was that easy to manipulate. So I'm not going to hold brief for anybody or any political party.
Okay, so you
But
feel
what I
this
want to say
verdict,
is that
right? You feel the verdict has maybe reaffirmed or re-established trust on the judiciary arm of the government.
I think so. I think that they have their lapses. I hope that they continue to work on some of their lapses. There's some very obvious lapses they have.
You want to
And
mention them?
believe me, I mean, let's leave that to lawyers to come and debate, actually.
All
But
right.
I
I think
mean,
I'm going to have,
at
okay.
what has happened. So I mean, they all have their lapses. It's also like our democracy. Like I said before, we were in a teething process before. Look at when the days of card readers. Look at the days of just not even card readers. It was just free for all, and we have now moved from all that to beavers. And I'm hoping that in 2027, 2028 cycle, there's also going to be a better process in our democracy, etc. So I think our judiciary is also call them to caution if we see that they have flagrantly violated some of the laws of the land. I mean, that's the point, and that's the beauty of democracy.
Hmm.
Continue to overhaul, continue the conversation. A political or a democratic setting is a talking setting, is a conversational setting. Nobody must keep quiet, and everybody's right until the Lord takes a side of it. So the beauty of it is that we have to continue talking. We have to continue pushing. It is different from an authoritarian or a military role. That's it is this and it is that. So I mean, we have decided and we have chosen this pathway of democracy in our governance. The burden lies on us to continue to have this conversation. Look at our judiciary. Call them to caution when they don't mean well. Look at our other sectors, our institutions, and continue to talk about it. But I wouldn't say that they are watery or they are not doing a great job. A lot of politicians have benefited from the court, but they always shout when they don't, when the law does not go their way.
Okay, one last question because we're running out of time. Well, going forward, right? How best do you think that the judiciary can reposition to ensure that they, of course, I would say discharge or give justice to Nigerians the way it should be and when it's needed?
It's going to be hard. Believe me, I think it's a tough. But what you just asked me is a really tough battle. as a doctor, I believe in first principles. I even believe a lot of things should be settled before it gets into court. I believe that there should be a lot of things fine tuned. For instance, the certificate scandal, or it's no more a scandal of Adeleke. For instance, I think that ball should have ended at the INEC office,
Hmm.
because INEC should have point if it does not meet the criteria. Things should have been tossed out of the window instead of getting to the Supreme Court, and we're all talking about it. Because the way the justice system works, like I said, it is blind, and it relies on argument. It relies on evidences, and it is not designed to favor anybody. It is not designed to make anybody happy. It is not designed to look at a particular case and say, "Oh, what are people saying?" There's a structure and there's a pattern to it. So I don't think the burden will be on Supreme Court to. I think they should be fair in delivery of their justice. They should be devoid of um, any type of inducement. But by and large, I think that the institution. Believe me, we send some judges outside the country. I think Guinea, Sudan, some of their judiciary system was banned or is being banned by Nigerians. I think even Ghana at some point. That is how strong we are. Our judiciary system it is. But we that are back home, we don't.
Okay, okay.
We still can mind.
Okay,
And
I know.
I mean,
Okay, through Spectrum TV. Okay, yeah, just one question. Okay, I know this does not really concern this, but I know that there has been a bill that has passed second reading for medical doctors. I'm saying it because you're a medical doctor to practice in Nigeria for 5 years before getting licenses, and there has been a ban placed on them uh, that they shouldn't be hired in UK. What do you think about that particular bill?
Well, that's a different conversation, and I think we can spend 3 days talking about it, just about the bill on its own.
Okay.
But you see, what I would say is that I think our political class.
That are also traveling out to get medical attention.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. You are literally in charge of all the sectors of the economy of the country, which includes health. You are the one that is supposed to actually improve that sector, and you have to use it to demonstrate that you trust it. We just had maybe is it the president going for dental care or
Hmm.
something recently? Are we saying that all the thousands of dentists in Nigeria cannot fix that? I also had that Files, the popular Files. He had a surgery
A
to
knee
fix his
surgery.
ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a knee surgery. He's a user facilities. I know doctors that can fix that knee surgery with one hand in the sky and the other fixing it and watching Netflix. That's how bread and butter they can fix it in Nigeria. But
Okay.
if we need to continue to trust our system, we need to continue to use the system to the point that you see, even the doctors will feel invested in it and will not leave. Why do doctors leave? They don't feel that they are well. Compensation is not even part. Is not like the 100% of it. It's like, am I enjoying the practice? What
We
I'm
want to talk about this, then we'll take 3 days. So I think we need to set aside 3 days to talk about this.
100%, 100%.
All right, thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Ademola Bayole. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, do have a great day.
You too.
Okay, back to the people. Thank you so much for staying glued to your TV, Spectrum Television. It's been the program The Law, the People, and Governance here on Spectrum Television. Catch you next week. My name is Rachel David White. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. Good evening.
Hold on. I'm coming. Please hold on. Gómìnà ẹ kú oríire ẹ ti kí àwọn ọmọ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ẹ ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ dámi lójú lóríṣiríṣi kí ni gbọ́dọ̀ tẹnu fún àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun gẹ́gẹ́ bí ilé ẹjọ́ tó ga jù lórílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà ṣe darí láyé.
Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọ̀ṣun fún àdúrótì wọ́n dúró tì mí títí dìgbà ètò òfin dájọ́ mo wá ń sọ fún ọ pé kó má bẹ̀rù kó má fòyà èmi tí wọ́n yàn sípò gẹ́gẹ́ bí